Hi, I'm Lou, another episode of My Car Store. We have a perfect day in the western suburbs of Chicago. I'm here with Terry. Terry, what's your last name?
Weiner.
And Terry has a car that we're going to show you that he has purchased and ordered brand spanking new. So this is the original owner of this car. And Terry, what do we have?
1971 American Motors Javelin AMX.
And he's also the co-director of the Javelin registry.
The Javelin AMX registry.
How many original 71 AMXs were there?
Out of the 2,054, we are talking about 55 members in the registry for the 71 year.
And the reason why that is they just disintegrated. They all rusted out.
The unibody construction didn't hold up too well over the years.
Yeah.
And they weren't really worth a lot of money after a few years of ownership, so most of them did wind up in the scrapyard.
We've got a special car. I'll grab this. Thank you, Tom. So come on back with me. Terry, here's our featured attraction. Your 71 purchased brand new AMX. And this is just not a normal AMX. Let's get a little closer. The reason why I say that is because your AMX has won some awards. Tell me about that.
Yes, this won Best of Show American Motors Owners Association in 2009.
Best of Show. Unbelievable. Tell me about this grill. Why is that grill so significant?
Well, Mark Donahue actually designed it for Trans Am racing for the 71 season. So there's a couple of features on the AMX, it being the upgrade of the Javelin. AMX was its own car in 1968, 69, and 70, its own vehicle. And in 71, it became the performance model for the Javelin.
Okay, let's get an overall look of the side of this.
It's a long hood and short deck, very lightweight car.
We'll let people take all that in. That's got wonderful curves.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on there, and with the metallic paint job, it really does pop in the sunlight.
And you were sharing with me, back in 71, you just didn't see these. I mean, even in 71, you didn't see them.
No, back in 71, back in the day, I never saw another 71 Javelin AMX on the road. And I drove this car every day for 7 years.
Wow. And when did you start to restore it?
Well, you're always restoring it, always collecting parts. You know, you decide that you want to get it back to the way it was when it left the factory. So I was able to get a lot of parts, NOS, new old stock, in the boxes. And actually, there's very few reproduction parts available for the car. So there's very few reproduction parts on the car.
So it's not like buying a Pontiac and now you can get the Pontiac, check out the hood and the scoop there that you can see.
Now this car does not have the cowl induction. That was an option. They did have a Go-Pack option, which included a T-stripe on the hood. It included a functional cowl induction hood.
Okay.
And some other options, including the machine wheels that you see on the car, which was a separate option. But this I ordered with a 2-barrel because back in 1971, the insurance surcharges were almost like 100%. So you're paying double the insurance.
Yeah,
being a young man under 25 years old driving a pony car with a 4-barrel, they really socked it to you. So I ordered it with a 2-barrel, and it's a pretty interesting deal underneath the hood. American Motors, the 2-barrel engine that they put in my car was actually destined for International Harvester.
Really?
So
we're going to look at that in a second. Let's look at your trunk, though.
Sure.
We're going to definitely talk engine in a minute. Why would I do the trunk of this car? Because this trunk is the prototype. Since this car got that kind of an award recognition of being best of show, Terry's got everything.
Every overspray,
every
detail that we could duplicate, from actually having the luxury of being an original owner. I was able to duplicate the way it came from the factory.
And look at this, he's even got the red bottle which was thrown down there back in that time frame. That's how they did it. And he's got the original jack information that you can pause and stop there in every piece. Okay, let's shut that. You know what I love too was in the rear reverse light, the bullseye.
For the Javelin.
And talk, you know, and the AMX logo here, just in case. And
Red, white, and blue.
you know what's great too, and the red, white, and blue was one of their race cars back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, in 1970 they had a Trans Am Javelin, which was red, white, and blue, and it didn't sell too well. So in 1970 they, later in the model year, March of that year, they built, they changed from red, white, and blue, and you were able to get the same car in any color. And they actually sold 2,500 of the cars, not red, white, and blue, after only 100 in the red, white, and blue. Actually, the dealers started repainting some of those red, white, and blue cars because they just didn't sell.
Really? Because it was just a little too much over the top for
Too much
people.
over the top, and even this car, the advertisement was styling so wild it might turn some people off. So one of the reasons I ordered it in the burnished brown metallic color that it is, just to make it a little bit more conservative.
Just to make it a little. Is this the
That's a data
fender?
tag. That will tell you the body number and also what the color of the car is, and it designates the leather interior. The trim is the leather interior.
So almost like what we have in most cars on the under the hood.
Yes.
Okay. Now we've got the back of the car. It's got some nice room, some bucket
This car
seats.
was ordered with leather interior, and that's what you're seeing in there, leather interior.
That's nice.
The rear defogger is a real rare option. It was the electric rear window defogger with the grids in the rear glass.
You know what?
The switch is down here.
Where's that switch? Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, living in Chicago, you need that option. I'm enjoying the interior. The interior is really neat. I mean, they've got this turned metal piece here.
It was kind of unusual because it was
this
they
red
called it
stripe.
the engine turn dash. They called that the metal dash. And then it had almost a cockpit effect to it, where the gauges surrounded the driver.
Yeah.
But the passengers area was just very, very sparse.
Well, it gives you this whole. You're in the driver's seat. You're running the show with the weather eye here. And to your point, here's what the passenger seat.
Yeah, look, the console's on the other side
Getting a
of
little-
the pod. You had to reach around to get to the glove box.
You're a little sun, but that should. If I put my hand right there, I think we'll be okay.
The car was ordered with the AM/FM stereo, the rear defogger, the leather seats, the power disc brakes, the power steering, and handling package, which heavy-duty shocks.
So if we're taking a look, I want to just sit back here. If you're the driver, it kind of looks like that versus that. Okay, let's take a look at the console's nice too. Let's take a look under the hood. All right, so there's our 362 barrel, which I know people are going to say, where's the 390? Well, they told you he was a teenager and he didn't want to get tapped on half his life savings on insurance.
Yeah, the optional engine that year was it was the first year for the 401.
401, okay, the 401 first year, got it. Tell us about this red, because that took a while to get people to understand that red was the correct color.
The original director of the registry had sent out a form to fill out, and they wanted to know if my engine was aqua or blue. And I sent it back, and I put my own little check mark, and I said, no, my engine is red.
And by the way, there's a different kind of red. What was the other kind of red?
The other red that they actually did produce this year was called Rampart Red, which was used for California emissions and also service blocks.
Okay.
They're usually painted red. Well, it wasn't a service block because I ordered the car and got it like 5 weeks later, so the engine was never out of the car. The transmission was also painted red, as was the intake manifold and the other components of the engine. But we take it to the national events, and the judges just didn't understand what they were looking at, and they said, -1 for the paint for the block and -1 for the paint on the heads. This went on for years, trying to convince them that my car came this way.
Yeah.
So found out a few years later that it was an International Harvester engine that American Motors had laying around, that they must have had some extras. And the funny thing about it is that it was a high compression engine.
Wow.
Because the vehicles that were not passenger vehicles could run on unleaded gas, but all the passenger cars had to run on unleaded gas. So this car knocked and pinged in its early history, and didn't realize why until I pulled the heads off and found out that it had high compression heads.
Is that right?
So We're pretty sure it's the International Harvester engine. It's got the correct paint for International Harvester.
Sure
and
does.
again, it's got the high compression heads, sold after all cars were supposed to run on unleaded gas, which meant low compression heads.
Let's turn it on. And by the way, once that was established, what happened? Then this car was a championship
Yeah, it
winner.
won Best of Show American Motors Owners Association in 2009.
Let's turn it on. Let's hear it. Starts right up. Looks great.
It's a real strong running 362 barrel.
I want to get just a little exhaust on. Come on back.
Sure. They actually drag raced this car in the early 70s.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Terry, let's have you shut the door. And shut the engine. Let's have you shut the hood. Terry, stand right next to it. We know the routine. Terry, thanks for sharing with us a tremendous car. Thanks for being on My Car Story.
Thank you, Lou.